So there's a guy, I think his name is Mike Lindell, something like that. He's, I guess he's the owner, the creator of My Pillow, and he is a hardcore right-winger. I mean, he's as right-wing as it gets. This is a guy who's like up till 4 a.m. looking at QAnon shit and thinking it's like 100% factual. Guy's got issues, okay? So he's been all in on the Trump train. When others abandon Trump, he's right there cheering on his daddy. I think there was a scary thing I read the other day that as Trump, felt more and more isolated, he kept turning to only people who would tell him what he wants to hear in the wake of losing to Biden. And the only two people left, the My Pillow guy and Rudy Giuliani. That's it. Everybody else, I'm talking Mick Mulvaney. These guys are not good guys, and they're not truth tellers, right? Like Mick Mulvaney, Larry Kudlow, the CNBC goon who's been wrong about everything when it comes to economics. Even guys like Larry Kudlow were like, Mr. President, you lost. And Trump, no, wrong, this fraudulent election, and did you see the ballot dumps and things? It's unbelievable what we're seeing here. Totally rigged, totally unfair. But one by one, everybody was like, I tried to get through to him, I couldn't get through to him. So the only people left, the My Pillow guy and Rudy Giuliani. Now, that's scary enough as is, but wait until you see the kind of stuff this guy is saying. Watch this.
From November 4th on, every day I have spent looking into the election fraud. I've worked with Sidney Powell, General Flynn, all the guys with these machines, these experts, and I can tell you 100% Donald Trump is going to be your president for 4 more years. I have never, ever, ever said anything less than 100%. And just today, there was so much this morning. I was on the phone with General Flynn, and just even more evidence came out. These are going to be bonus evidence just to put more people in prison. And right now I'm telling everyone in this country, you have to 100% believe me when I tell you Donald Trump was picked for 8 years by God, not 4. And I want everybody, you just keep the faith. God's granted me this big platform, and I just know with everything that's going to happen, you're going to see miracles happen in the next couple days.
How do you even respond to this guy? How do you even get through to this guy? This is the kind of guy that Trump previously would have called crazy. Because there were stories about how Mike Pence's religiosity got under Trump's skin, and he would like poke fun at him and be like, how about this guy? He wants to stone all the gays to death, huh? Ridiculous. So, but this is the kind of guy, like uber religious, creepy, that Trump would have made fun of previously. But now, since he's one of the only guys telling him what he wants to hear, all of a sudden, he's now in his inner circle. And you heard the stuff he said, man. That should scare you when he says 100% Trump is going to be your president for 4 more years. 100%. Homeboy didn't say 99. Homeboy didn't say 98. He said 100%. And this is a guy who is now close to Trump and whispering in his ear 24/7. In fact, this guy had a meeting with Trump last week, and there was a sheet of paper when the My Pillow guy was walking out of the meeting. Some media outlet was able to get some pictures. It said on the sheet of paper, martial law. He's trying to convince Trump to implement martial law to stay in office. Terrifying. I mean, listen, I get it. These guys are buffoons. These guys are incompetent. Trump couldn't organize or strategize or create a skillful plan to effectively do a coup. Like, I get it. But the fact that the intention is so clear, you know what I mean? That is disturbing. Without a doubt, that's disturbing. And this guy's bringing up a who's who of the crazy people, General Flynn, and he said Trump was picked for 8 years by God. Trump was picked for 8 years by God. I mean, it's the same point I always make whenever religiosity is injected into the conversation regarding Trump, which is, if that's the judgment of your God, perhaps your God is not omnipotent. You know what I mean? Like, if of all the people who can be president of the United States of America, the one God chose was Donald Trump, that's not a God worthy of worship. That's a flawed motherfucker right there now, isn't it? That's the guy you pick? The grab him by the pussy guy? The guy who was a businessman and went bankrupt like 6 or 7 times? His whole veneer, his whole facade was like, gotta vote for me because I'm like the awesome, competent businessman. Well, then why'd you go bankrupt like 6 times? A lot of people, you know, you guys know this, but a lot of people don't know this. Trump inherited like $400 million from his dad. If I give you $400 million, yeah, you could create the image that you're an awesome businessman as well. You don't have to do Dickie McGee's acts. You got $400 million. Buy some nice suits, go out there and pretend like, you know, who, me, bro? I'm just the best businessman ever. No big deal or anything. Like, it's all a mirage. It's all a mirage. The only things that he did that were profitable was The Apprentice and slapping his name. People would pay him for the rights to put his name on their buildings. That's it. Everything else was a bust. Trump vodka, Trump steaks, Trump the board game, you name it. I don't even know how I got to this part of the conversation where I'm talking about business. Oh, that's right. The God thing. The idea that God picked this guy. Honestly, he's a con artist. I would have said he's a mediocre con artist. Since he actually was able to get to the White House, I now think he's arguably the greatest con artist of all time, that he was able to get that far. But this is who God likes. This is who God prefers. And the other question I have, I always bring this one up too, because it really fascinates me. How it's so America-centric, right? Like, does God only pick the leader of America? Or is he also like, well, what's on the schedule today? What's on the agenda? I got to pick the president for Cameroon. I got to pick the German chancellor, the president for Cameroon. I got to see what's going on in New Zealand. Maybe they need somebody new. What's happening in Madagascar? We got Madagascar's on the agenda today. Is everything okay there? I got to pick the leader for Madagascar. Or is it only like America? You know, it's just, imagine being an adult and thinking, not only that God exists and is real, but it's also like God is micromanaging what's happening on Earth and like picking the leader of the United States of America. By the way, this shows you that all other ideas and principles are out the window. You know, because I'm sure the MyPillow guy would tell you to your face, oh, I believe in America. Of course, I believe in our constitutional republic and our representative democracy. We have the best system of government and it's wonderful. But then he's willing to throw all of that out. If Trump actually did a coup and was like, I'm now doing an authoritarian takeover of the country and staying in power, he'd be like, awesome. So any commitment to ideals, values, principles, it's just gone. It's just gone. And these guys are scary. These guys are scary. He believes in nothing except Donald Trump and what he thinks his God is whispering in his ear. That's it. And imagine having some sort of religious devotion to Donald Trump after looking at what Trump has done for 4 years. What has he done? He's done more tax cuts for the rich. He's done more deregulation. He's continued the wars. He gets in Twitter arguments like he's in high school. Like, what has he done? Continued the culture of corruption. He's not draining the swamp. He is the swamp. He's bathing in the swamp. And this is the kind of devotion that a guy like the MyPillow guy has for him. It's hard to wrap your mind around, man. But beware. Trump's closest allies are now going around saying 100% Trump is going to be your president for 4 more years. And by the way, I think this was from early January, like January 4th or 5th, something like that is when he gave this speech. So, but he's been doing it more. There was another video that was released of him on Parler on his private jet going to see Trump where he's basically saying the same thing. 100% Trump's going to be your president. The most fringe far-right characters took over the country. That's cause for concern.